Ric Flair partying with women, a steel cage match where Ed bleeds buckets, and they overbooked the main event like crazy. I'm Trevor with a retro review of WWE Unforgiven 2005. Odd one here. In fact, 2005 was a very odd year in general for the company. Some great matches that still hold up to this day, some great feuds, some weird stuff, and they had a terrible gimmick on this show that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. But if you know who I'm talking about, you already know what the gimmick is. If you don't, wait a little bit and you'll find out. JR, who was still pretty good on commentary at this point, as opposed to now in 2020 when he's not good at all. He should not be doing commentary. He's terrible at it, living off his reputation and ruining any match that he calls. And yet Jerry Lawler also there, who was fine. He was fine on commentary. Him and JR did have a pretty good rapport. And Coach, who was also there, who should have actually never been allowed on commentary or in the ring or on TV. Jonathan Coachman was a terrible on-screen character. Maybe not a terrible human being, or maybe so. Allegedly, he was at ESPN. So anyway, I put up allegedly, so I avoid, getting any, unwanted anger towards me. So we start with an Intercontinental Championship match. Champion Carlito versus Ric Flair. Could Ric Flair get one more dance with glory? Yeah, he could, because he won it. He won it with, a pretty good crowd reaction, some heavy chops, even hitting a move off the top rope. Carlito did counter with some groundwork and doing some good stuff, but Ric Flair would end up making Carlito choke on his own apple and then tapping him out, tapping him repeatedly, tapping him and tapping him and tapping him until he choked and tapped out. That's pretty much it right there. And he won the Intercontinental Championship. He gathered four random women. One kind of looked like one of his wives. It's really hard to tell the difference, though. The man's been married about 80 million times. And took them all back, and he's going to celebrate with them in a limousine. Woo! I can't do a Ric Flair woo. Woo! Sorry, I can't really fucking do it at all. So, we get Edge and Lita talking about the cage match, and then they kiss. Because, we're bringing a real storyline into this. Or, real life event into this. Then JR comments about Tori bringing her dog in the ring with Victoria. So it's Tori and Victoria, if you will. I await so many goddamn angry responses there for that lame pun. And Candice Michelle was also there. They were called the Ladies in Pink, despite wearing gold. Apparently somebody does not know how colors work. If you're colorblind, I'm not knocking you, but creative apparently doesn't understand how colors work. They took on Trish Stratus and Ashley Mazzaro, who had just won the Diva Search, and Trish had come back from a back injury, but was still the champion. What 30-day rule? Ashley Mazzaro, who I respect. Despite the fact she never really got good in the ring, to be fair, she had a pretty bad leg injury that they kept making her work through, so she couldn't get any better. And also, she didn't have all that much training, and it was fucking bullshit. And then you got that military base incident. That's how I'll word it. I'll word it like that, as opposed to, saying that the person that perpetrated it was a piece of shit, and the company making her keep silent on it. They were pieces of shit also. That was fucking bullshit. Anybody that backed her up on it, great. But anybody that didn't back her up on it, fuck you guys. That's fucking horrible for anybody, woman or man, to go through that shit. And hopefully, whoever did that burns in fucking hell for it, because that's what should happen to anybody that does that fucking shit. So moving on, back to, being a little bit happy before I pick it back up. Ashley and Trish tried. Trish and Victoria were leagues bare. Even though Tori wanted to get in the ring and do some good stuff, they only had her do things to a certain level. Candice got involved, and then we got the chick kick 1, 2, 3. So Victoria got pinned. And then we cut back to Flair celebrating with the women. Oh, he brings them into the limo and then pops a bunch of Viagra. Woo! Dick pills. Woo! Anyway, so we then have Big Show versus Snitsky. Well, this was a match that didn't need to happen on pay-per-view or on TV. And I didn't mind Snitsky. I thought he was fine as far as like a mid-card monster, but it was Big Show who'd flip-flop from face to heel a whole lot. It was meatiness, a lot of chops. They replayed Snitsky hitting Big Show with the ring bell during a rest spot during the match, by the way. That's what they on pay-per-view. They didn't replay it before. They replayed it during the match. Somebody in the production truck fell asleep. And then a chokeslam for 3. And then Big Show hit him with the ring bell a few times. The match happened. That's about it. We then get more Flair celebrating with Steam coming out. Not the, computer game streaming service, but actual Steam. Like it's a sauna. Like these women were Dutch ovening him. I'm starting to gross myself out, so I might as well make it as uncomfortable as possible. Anyway, Shawn Michaels and Chris Masters video package to hype up their match a little bit later. Shelton Benjamin versus Kerwin White. Let me tell you right now, I may not care for some of the stuff that Chavo said and some of the comments he's made, maybe some of his beliefs, but this whole Kerwin White character, what the Jiminy fuck was Vince McMahon thinking? Oh, it's such good shit, pal. You're going to be a white guy. You're not Hispanic. You're white. I can guarantee that so many people are shutting off this goddamn video because of my terrible Vince impression. But yeah, Kerwin White. Kerwin White. This was fucking atrocious. It was, if it's not white, it's not right. That was his actual saying. This was 2005. This wasn't 1985. I'm not excusing and saying that it would have been good regardless, but 2005, you know, they just came up with the whole Muhammad Hassan thing, so maybe just making a guy basically, you know, thinking that everybody else was beneath him because he's white, even though he's not, probably wasn't the best move. Dolph Ziggler, however, got to be his caddy before becoming, Nikki of the Spirit Squad and then becoming Dolph Ziggler later. This was atrocious. This was an atrocious character. Shelton Benjamin and Chavo worked a decent enough match, but the Kerwin White character, who even had a golf club because he rode a golf cart to the ring, tried to use a golf club, got hit with a T-bone, 1, 2, 3. Kerwin fucking White. Moving on. Edge with Lita versus Matt Hardy. A steel cage match. Very personal, very bloody. Great. This is great shit. Edge bleeding. A lot. It was a little bit scary. Lita got in. She got laid out with the twist of fate. This was very personal and very good stuff. This was the highlight of their feud. I know they had a loser leaves Raw match on Raw Homecoming, like a few weeks later. But yeah, it was what it was. A leg drop off the cage for 3. I think Matt pretty much destroyed his entire goddamn lower body doing that. He actually did say that that was part of the reason he had so many issues and had to, tone down a few things. To be fair, that probably hurt like a goddamn bitch. Not as much as a recent bump that Matt Hardy took, and you know what one I'm talking about, especially if you look at the timestamp of this video. Man, that spot went all out right there. God damn. And then Bischoff to Cena. Well, you know, you're getting your ankle taped up. I don't think you can survive this. And then Cena says, hey, hand me some of that tape, and he tapes Bischoff's mouth shut. And then we cut to Edge. We got, for not comedy, back to Edge, bleeding and crawling up the stage. And then we get Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch versus Hurricane and Rosie. 2 of the men are dead in this match, and I'm very sad about that. Rosie was early 40s, I think. And Cade didn't even make it to 30. It's just really sad. It was fine. It was okay. Hurricane got laid out with a DDT at one point after Trevor Murdoch tried to hit on Lillian. And then Rosie got beat up, and then Hurricane got back in the ring despite being taken away by refs and got pinned soon after with a high-low. So we got new tag champs. That's really about it right there. And Maria, the soon-to-be Maria Kanellis, well, years later to be Maria Kanellis, playing the ditzy girl, backstage interviewer says to Chris Masters, why do they call you the masturbate? I can't believe I laughed at that because I laugh at only mature things. Clearly, if you've watched this show, I'm very mature. If you believe that, you also have not watched the show at all, and you have skipped to this point in the video without noticing any of the jokes that I made before. So, yeah, why did they call you the masturbate? It was funny. It was. I'm just a little bit childish with my humor. Just a little. A lot. Chris Masters versus Shawn Michaels. Shawn did every goddamn thing he could to make Chris Masters look good. He also went from facing Hulk Hogan in the main event of SummerSlam to facing Chris Masters. Nothing against Chris Masters, the masterpiece, who was good for who he was and fine enough in the ring. And I think deserved a better second run. But this wasn't very odd that they gave him a second run. It wasn't very good. It was fine. He kept trying to go for the Master Lock, but it wasn't overall a very good match. It did not need to go 16 and a half minutes. It should have gone about 10. And Shawn should have beat him. Now, Shawn did beat him by escaping the Master Lock after a bit of a ref distraction, a low blow, and then soon after Master Lock, oh no, escape, sweet chin music, 1, 2, 3. And then Flair and company emerge from the limo. The women are all whatever. Flair's got his tights halfway down and passes out. Woo! Cena versus Angle, WWE title match. Well, there were some boos for Cena because they were starting to get sick of the guy. Angle kept focusing on the bad ankle and did some good stuff. The match was fine, actually. It was well wrestled. But there was a ref bump and then the gold medal to the head. And oh no, Bischoff's trying to get Cena to quit. He's about to ring the bell. We're going to get a screw job. And then no, Bischoff gets bumped out of the ring. And then belt to the head. The ref sees a DQ. And then Bischoff's no, you're not awarding that title to Cena. I'm the GM. I don't care about the rule. And then he gets laid out with an FU. Angle attacks Cena, goes to Angle slam him through the table, the announcer's table, and gets that feud, and Cena stands tall. That's pretty much it right there. Not a bad pay-per-view, but overall, there are some things that didn't, age well. Kerwin White, for instance. But that steel cage match is actually pretty damn good. So anyway, agree, disagree, what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.